Hey, with World Changer Wednesday. I'm so excited for World Changer Wednesday this week. Donna's had me back there laughing and y'all were talking about Clubhouse and how lit Clubhouse is right now. And that's why I have this media here right here, because I'm about to promote my Clubhouse right now because we're growing tremendously. We had like 30 people in the room on Saturday night, and that was for us. Me and Addie were just like, what the heck just happened? There's like 30 people in the room, people raising their hands. Like, so what we're talking about and what is happening on Clubhouse right now is monumental. So if you guys aren't on Clubhouse, you need to get on Clubhouse and join us on Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern time for Love and Celebration Chat, because we're talking about some amazing things and how you can manifest your desire in your life, because it's possible for you. Right, Don? No, you're not on yet. You're not on yet. I was just kind of introducing you a little bit, but not really. I was introducing the Clubhouse. But I wanted to get that plug in before people started logging on. But if you guys are watching from right now, let us know where you're from. Comment where you're from, what city, and make sure you follow us on Instagram and YouTube. And we are live right now on Facebook and YouTube. And so this is so exciting. And I'm so excited. We're about to get to Dawn. I'm about to put up her picture right now so that we can have her in the middle. And then I'm going to introduce my amazing guest. I'm excited. This is going to be so, you're really going to be so, so blessed by Dawn and her story and her passion and her funny, witty self. I'm trying to find my, okay. So I just want to tell you guys a little bit before she comes on here. So Dawn has a bachelor's in education. She's taught for almost 20 years. She's been fascinated by the brain, the mind, the soul for many years, and was introduced to neurolinguistic programming 3 years ago, which changed her life for the better. Dawn is currently attaining her master in consciousness studies and is a certified NLT practitioner, coaching people all over the world. She created the Mobile Lighthouse LLC with a mission to create a space while clients can connect with a, connect with a coach from anywhere in the world with Wi-Fi, and it would be to be fully in alignment with their whole person. Dawn plans to have her spiritual practitioner license by June 2021. Her IFC International Coach Federation certification by the end of 2021, and become a minister of religious science by 2025. Oh, I have some questions for you about that, girl. Let me get back to my. So without further ado, let me get my man. You know what they need to add on here? They need to add some sounds. So I could do like a, you know, that'd be so dope. They need to add, that would really be dope, like for real, for real. All right, let me do this. I know. And without further ado, I want to introduce you all to Miss Dawn Bauer. Woo!
I had to do my own entry music.
I love it. I could totally, that's what I said. I could totally see you on Saturday Night Live already, because that's just who you are.
That would be fun if I wanted to live in New York.
That is where Saturday Night Live is, huh?
It's cold out there.
It is cold out there, but you could still travel. And now, because everything is remote,
I could. That would be fun. That would be a riot.
Dawn, I'm so excited to have you. Oh my gosh, I've been so looking forward to the time that I get to interview you. I've been looking at your content, and oh man, it's so incredible. So tell everybody who is not familiar with you, who you are, what you do. I already introduced you, but like just give us just a little bit of a background of Dawn Bauer.
that was a great introduction. That's a nice,
Thank you so much.
but I don't even know if we can see. Can we see my octopus? There he
Oh
is.
yeah, oh yeah, I see it.
My clients get annoyed if my octopus is not over my shoulder over there.
That's funny.
So gosh, what do I even say about myself? I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Omaha, Nebraska. Um, and I live in Denver now. I lived in California for a bit, loved it out there. I love the coast, love the ocean.
Right.
I'm just a human being that is trying to find their way through life, and saying yes to a lot of things, and saying no to other things, and just really trying to tap in and figure out how can I listen more and listen more to that inner calling, that inner wisdom. And I have opinions of what that is as well, but yeah, I'm just following along. I feel like I'm on track with my life purpose.
I would say so. You're definitely making a huge impact with your with your brand, what you have founded. What was your passion behind Mobile Lighthouse?
My passion behind it. I didn't realize that I was going to be creating Mobile Lighthouse until it happened. And I think that that's a lot of that saying yes, and is following that inner guidance. And really, I don't know if this happens for a lot of people, but I think that it happens for a lot of people, that people create businesses out of an experience that they've had, or trying to solve a problem that's happening in the world because they've experienced it themselves. I have a friend, for example, who has a nonprofit that helps feed the homeless. He was homeless at one point, and he saw the issues that were going on there. And so, it's like we do these different things. And so I was introduced to neuro-linguistic programming and had my own coach, and it just completely changed my life in so many different ways that it just kind of naturally evolved into, well, now I have to help other people. I'm not the only one who is sabotaging their life. A lot of people are doing that.
Right. Well, I think it's so funny that you say that, because literally, I don't think we realize how much control we have over the thoughts that we think and the words that we speak. Yeah. And your whole mission is to help people understand that they have the power within them to create that. So what was it for you that was this big trigger point and breakthrough that you had? You kind of shared that with me on the guest review call, and was really powerful, the insight that you gained from what you went through. How was that significant to your success?
Yeah, and going back to like telling people, we can tell people all the time, like, you have the power to change. You can change your life. And you absolutely can. And when people are in the muck, when people are in the crap, in the middle of it, it's hard for them to believe. They want to put the middle finger up. They want to be like, you don't know what you're talking about. How can you say this to me? No, you're not living my life. You don't understand what's going on for me. Like, I'm really in a dark place here. I can't just change my thoughts, right, and then magically it's gonna shift. Yeah, maybe not overnight. It's not going to. And everybody has had dark times in their life. They all look different. So even though I may not know somebody else's personal story because I'm not living their life, I haven't walked in their shoes, I can still be empathetic to it because I've had another challenge that's maybe similar, or maybe it's not even similar, but it's, sometimes what one person might think is just a small deal that's not that big of a deal, is a huge life-changing thing for someone else. And it can be really a struggle to get through it. And so when we talk about that, we can change our lives, we can reprogram our minds, we can. And it's not just about affirmations. It's not just about saying, I can do it. I'm amazing. I am love. I am abundance. It's not just about saying those things. It is we have to change it at the core level and absolutely 100% believe and know and have absolute faith and trust that that is our truth. And the thing is there's too many other things that get in the way. There's too many other interferences. There's too many events and patterns and habits that we have developed over time that are telling us otherwise. And our brain is protecting us and it's warning us. No, don't do that thing. That's a scary thing. Don't do that. You tried this before and it didn't work out, remember? So yeah, something coming up for you there.
Well, when you think about like why people don't do things, it's because their brain is trying to, what's that? It's not the, yeah, it's the self-sabotage that gets us most of the time. And then because of the self-sabotage, then we start to agree with failure. And that kind of leads into my next question, because on this whole journey to self-discovery, because you're kind of this, this expert, you've mastered your mind in a sense. But it's like there's still these triggers that will cause you to sabotage yourself. And then you're like, well, I'm a failure, I'm this or that. What were some of those things in your life that almost seemed like they were failures, but they taught you something? What was it you learned from those times in your life?
Yeah, I'm glad that you asked that question in that way, because I don't see things as failures anymore. Everything is a learning experience, and now what maybe would have been called a failure is just that's not in alignment with me anymore. That's not on my path. That's not for me anymore, whether it's a relationship or an opportunity or a job or whatever it is. That something bigger and better is coming. And so living in that space of believing that something better is coming, guess what? It always shows up. Because if we're looking for that, that's what we're going to find.
Yeah. Yes.
If we're looking for the crap, we're going to find crap.
Exactly.
Because our brain... Go ahead. I was just going to say, our brain aligns with what it wants. It's like, oh, you want crap? Okay.
Right.
Let's find the crap.
Reticular activating system.
Exactly. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm. And
so it's like, okay, we're going to line up with that.
Mm-hmm.
And, our brain is only conscious. I think they're saying now around 3% of at any given moment. Everything else is in the unconscious mind. 100% of everything we've ever experienced, tasted, smelled, touched, heard, experienced, felt, 100% of it we hold on to in our unconscious mind. And at any given moment, only 3% are we conscious of.
Wow.
And if you think about it, that kind of makes sense, because if we were always conscious of 100% of everything we experience in our life at any given moment, how would we even make a decision? We would be right? Too much overload.
Wow.
But that shows you how much is going on, like behind the scenes, right? Like at the beginning of this thing, I'm like entertaining you from backstage.
I know.
Nobody else knows what's going on back there.
Right. That's so true.
And so we have these patterns that are running that we've gotten really, really good at. And some of them are good. Let me give an example. So driving a car, learning how to drive a stick. Let's use that because that's always more fun than just a regular car.
Right.
Do you know how to drive a stick?
I do. That was the first car I learned how to drive one.
Yeah, my dad was like, "You're learning how to drive a stick." When you're, when you're younger, you're not even conscious of that you're unskilled at it because you don't really have it in your mind that you have to be a driver. When you're a kid, you're not conscious, so you're unconsciously unskilled at it. Then you get to 15, 16 years old and somebody starts teaching you how to drive the car, and then you become conscious that you're unskilled at it. You become very aware that you're not very good at this thing.
Oh, that's funny.
And then eventually you keep practicing and practicing and practicing. Then you become conscious of like, oh, I got this down. I'm skilled. I'm good at it.
Right.
I know what I'm doing. I know how to turn my turn signal. I can put my gas, the brake, the clutch at the right time. I can do everything. And you're aware of that. And then over time, practicing and practicing and practicing, I bet you drive a car, you don't even really think about it.
That's true.
You're automatically just doing all the things. Your hand knows where to go, how to turn the turn signal. If you need to adjust your mirror, you're doing that. You're doing all these things. You're probably talking on your phone, whatever, listening to music.
Right.
Doing all kinds of things while you're driving your car. Now you are unconsciously skilled. And we get unconsciously skilled. Now, that's a good thing to be unconsciously skilled at. Sometimes we need to be a little bit more conscious about what's going on like around us, when we're driving. But in general, right, if we're so focused on the actual driving on the car, that's probably why a lot of young drivers get into accidents, because they're not paying attention to what's going on around them. Because they're still trying to be consciously skilled what they're doing here in the car.
Right.
So that benefits us because it makes us more efficient.
Right.
However, there are things that we are unconsciously skilled at that are actually holding us back. They're really good patterns of behavior.
What would you say What would you say is a really good example of something that would continually hold someone back from?
Gosh, so many different things, and it might be particular, like specific thing for a person, but there might be, something, and maybe it might be easier to use an example of, of a client or something. So, let's say, I do get a lot of women who have had sexual trauma in their past.
Okay.
As kids. And I have had a client in the past who was really struggling with her weight and wanted to lose weight, has tried a lot of different things. And what we realized in going back is that there was a pattern that was put into place there, that now this weight made her less attractive in her mind. If I have weight on, I'm safe. Nobody's going to touch me. Nobody's going to touch me if I have this weight on. And so that pattern, it was keeping her safe at the moment that it started. And then it was reinforced over time. And so it was initially there to keep her safe, which is what our brain does. It's trying to keep us safe, that part of the brain, that lizard brain. But now at this point, she doesn't need that pattern anymore. It's not serving her. It's holding her back from really being this true, bright, healthy self that she wants to be.
Wow.
And so she has to release that pattern, that belief that the weight is keeping her safe, and know that she is safe right now. And she can let that weight go. So that's just one example. There's just so many.
So true. It's kind of like you're kind of helping people through like traumatic experiences and triggers in their life that they've kind of repressed, and they weren't able to deal with. And now that they're able to deal with it, then they can release. Because I call it weight release, because when you're losing weight, you're releasing toxic emotions and things that, were troubling or triggering you, because those fat cells are really toxic. It's toxin in your body that it's holding on to those. And you're holding on to these emotions and these things that you don't realize are actually holding you back from your greatness.
Yeah.
And, being able to allow people to work through those things, that is so powerful. So what would you say would be one of your most impactful stories that someone has ever had with you, like an experience that someone has had with you that's been the most impactful for you?
Oh my gosh, there's so many. And I know you keep asking me about and I haven't really shared my thing either.
Well, you can share yours first if you want to do that, and then you can share.
There's just so many stories of clients and things like that. So my kind of what brought me here is in 2009 I went through a rough divorce, and it actually it was initiated in 2007. And so for 2 more years, so in 2007, I just went into very dark depression, and I just felt like I wasn't worthy. I wasn't good enough. My husband was the one that he asked for the divorce. And there's just, everybody's relationship is unique and different, and in the reasons why. A lot of people ask why. And it's like, gosh, even the things that were said why, I don't even think now that that's why. You know what I mean? Like, I can look back at it and be, it's just, I think there's something bigger at hand that was just, we were meant to go on and do different things, not together.
Right.
But I mean, that was I wasn't planning on getting divorced. I was going to be married forever. I was going to have kids. I was going to have the whole, thing. That's what you do. That's what you do in the Midwest.
Right.
You get married young and you stay married, and you, and you struggle and you stay together anyway. Doesn't matter how much you're fighting, you stick it out.
That's so true.
I was taught. And so this was just kind of like almost forced on me in a way that I didn't feel like I had control over it, and really, went to a dark place. And I know the only thing that I felt like was holding me up was just like this little, I just remember just laying on the bed, just sobbing, just like hopeless. And just feeling like there was this little thread of golden light. I know this might sound weird to people, but I felt like there was this little thread of golden light that was just like connecting me to the divine. That's all I can. I mean, it was the smallest little thing. And it was like, okay, if I can just hold on to this little string, if I can just hold on to this, there's light at the end of the tunnel. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to get through this. And I also just had this sense that I needed to make that string a rope. I needed to make that rope something big. I needed to make it, like this big, strong thing that I could hold on to. But it was like a piece of floss at that moment. And it was almost like a feeling of like, what if I didn't have that floss? I might have made a different decision for my life. I might have made a different decision. But that was a huge turning point. And after that, I really just wanted to feel loved again. I just really wanted to feel wanted. I wanted to feel like this is going to, this is just him. Like, I'm still sexy. People still, I'm going to find a man again.
Girl, talk about it. Talk about it. Those are real emotions. Those are real emotions, though, because from a divorcee, you feel completely like your whole worth has been like taken from you, and you're like, even with other married women, you feel like you're cast out of this club of other married women that are still married, and you're like, what the heck? Nobody cares about me anymore just because I got divorced. You feel totally completely alone. So I totally understand.
Yeah,
girl.
it was like this feeling of like, I'm going to go out and every guy that looks at me they're going to know, ooh, she's divorced. And either take advantage of me. Oh, she's divorced.
Girl.
She needs a man tonight. That
Girl, you
is
better talk
real.
about it.
I need to help her.
Oh, you were funny.
Oh, that poor divorced lady. I need to help her out. Let me just take her home and help her out.
Ooh. Oh, man.
It's either that or it's like, I don't want to have anything to do with her. Oh, she's going to be crabby. People tell me all the time, they're like, I keep forgetting you're divorced. You just don't seem like it. Because what? Divorced women are supposed to look like this? I'm pissed off. Man. I'm divorced.
Right.
Are you crying?
I can't. You're putting it in such a great light. It's hilarious.
I was like, I can't win.
Oh, man.
And along the way, I did have a couple people that were like, well, I'll date you. I mean, you look pretty good for your age.
Woo, I might snort. I'm sorry.
You seem nice. You seem like you got your head together. I thought I did. And so a couple relationships later, talking about patterns, man, it was like the pattern. I was like, oh, I never dealt with my unworthiness of being loved.
Yes, exactly.
And it was the last relationship I was in ended towards the end of 2016. And then at the beginning of 2017, I was introduced to NLP, and then I started getting coaching. Wow. And man, I remember my coach, I was just like, he cheated on me and this and that. And he was like, do we need to reschedule? Do we need to and I'm like, excuse me? Like, I'm in the middle of my story right now, my sad story. Don't you want to hear about my sad story? No. And with NLP, we don't need to get into the story. But I didn't know that.
It's so true.
We just needed to get to. He was like, "You're too into the emotions still." And by the way, for anybody that wants to work with me, I'm not that harsh. I'm not gonna cut you off and be like, "Do we need to reschedule?" But that is what my coach did with me, and it kind of like startled me. And then he's like, "Do you want to get over this or not?"
Come on.
Yeah. So I was like, well, yeah. So I mean, that was just like, man, I was living in the victim land. It was everybody. My ex-husband did this to me. This boyfriend did that. This person did this. My finances are screwed because of my divorce. Like things that you don't even know about finances, being married and divorced. I know now. I would love to teach women about that. I would love to teach men and women, like anybody that's married and how you should be doing your finances. They don't teach this stuff. But
so true.
I wanted to blame everybody else.
Yep.
And the thing is I wasn't going to get anywhere doing that. I wasn't necessarily going to get any apologies, and not that an apology would fix anything anyway.
Right.
This was my life. I needed to fix my beliefs I needed to take on the ownership and own what was mine to own, and say, okay, well, I'm not going to have this belief anymore that I'm unworthy of being loved. I'm not going to have this, but oh man, girl, I was blaming my parents. I was blaming my parents for all kinds of things. And I even wanted to go talk to them about it too. I'm like, do you know, when I was a kid, you did this thing, you said this thing, and it made me feel like this.
Right.
They didn't want to hear about that. They were just like, well, I'm sorry.
Right.
You know? And here's one of the presuppositions with NLP. We believe that everyone is doing the best they can with the resources they have available.
Exactly.
And so once I wrap my brain around that, it's like, oh, my parents are doing the best they could. They thought they were doing the best for me with the resources they had. You know, and it's like when we know better, we can do better.
Exactly.
You know, and so that whole process, it changed my relationship with my family in huge ways. I've been able to have such deep conversations with so many people. My sister, before this, we always wanted to have a good relationship, but we couldn't figure out how to do it. And she works with me now.
Oh, I love it.
She's awesome. I love her. She's my best friend.
Oh.
My relationships, I have a boyfriend. I haven't had a boyfriend in 4.5 years.
Yay. Congrats. Awesome.
It's like just everything is shifting. So that's a little bit about my story.
I love that. That's so transformative. In the marketing video, you were saying when you were talking to the two, were they you were telling me that they were from, where specifically were they from?
They live here. Well, they were both in different places in California. They live in North Carolina now, but they are priestesses in the Ifa Yoruba tradition.
That's what you were saying. Because you were saying, I just remember you saying to them, and I know it triggered in them too, because that's something that I guess you could be dealing with, racism. You know, we're taught to point the finger at everyone but ourselves. And you know, you can point so many fingers, because there's been so much atrocity done to Black people and all people all over the world. But there has been some serious atrocities done to African American people. Yet, and still, I've learned going through that process of, you know, self-awareness and self-love, and realizing that I still had to take personal responsibility whether or not somebody was reacting to me in a certain way. And now that I realize that I actually create my reality, I don't see it as a block or a barrier the way that I used to, because that's how we're conditioned. And it's so funny because every single one of us has conditioning, whether we're Black or white, we're Indian, we're wherever we are, we all have conditioning that we have to overcome in order for us to enter into our, I would say, our promised land or our greatness, you know? So it's powerful.
And the conditioning, that, you know, a great word to bring up, it's there's the cultural conditioning, and different, right? There's the US culture, right? There's within our own races, our own ethnic groups, our own communities. There's the conditioning within our own family, because you can have two people in the same race that come from completely different families, different belief systems, you know? It's like everybody really is coming from their own model of the world. And that's another thing we talk about with NLP, is respecting other people's model of the world, understanding your own and where you're coming from, but also understanding they're not going to see things exactly the same way.
Exactly.
Because they're coming from a different model. They had different conditioning growing up.
Yes.
You had different
Absolutely.
experiences growing up.
Absolutely. That's so key. I wanted to ask you a really, really pivotal question because we were talking about, um, I just had it when you were talking, and we have like 4 minutes left. And I just want to, let me see if I can get this question because this is really what I really want to ask
I'm
you.
going to
Oh,
respond to something. Okay, go ahead. I was going to say, I'm going to
go
respond to
ahead, go
something you
ahead.
just said, but you,
Go ahead.
and then please ask your question. So you were talking about how you went through that process yourself and you realized, you know, like I could sit here and keep pointing fingers, or I could just, I realized, you know, you realize that you could change yourself and
Absolutely.
stepping into that greatness. And I think that that's the freedom. That's where the freedom is. That's where the
Absolutely.
joy comes in. And so like
Yes.
my path to get to a place of joy is I had to release all of the traumatic experiences in my life, and I had to fully step into, like, if we want to stay, if I want to stay and point the finger at people that did me wrong or experiences or whatever that got me to this place, I'm never going to get out of it, and then I don't get to experience joy.
Yes,
I'm in a
exactly.
place of icky. And so if
Yes.
we want to get ourselves, like, we get to invite ourselves to the joy party, you know,
Absolutely.
and release that
Absolutely.
other stuff, not ignoring it, not ignoring
Right.
it, not saying that it was okay,
Right.
but moving past it, because in the
Exactly.
grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
It doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
That's so
Doesn't.
real. So I grew up very religious, I guess you could say, from a like a church going standpoint, Christian background. And, you know, I kind of came into this awareness um, way later in my 30s, probably like 30, 33, 34 is when I kind of started to find out who I truly was and, you know, kind of dealing with the darkness
Yeah.
and the scariness of having to go through that dark night, I guess you'd say, of the soul. And when you say that you are going in for religious studies, like religious, is it religious consciousness? How do you say?
Religious science, yeah. And
Yes,
consciousness studies is the master's, yeah.
yes. Have you ever heard of Neville Goddard?
I think so, but not too much.
Oh, okay, because he's kind of along the lines of maybe what you're saying. He talks a lot about the biblical consciousness and things like that. But
Yeah.
I want to know a little bit about what drew you into the religious science of it, because that's just really intriguing to me. We can go a little bit over just because this is so good, but if you have somewhere to go, that's why I don't want to hold up your time, because I know we said 3:40, but if
I have
cool.
all night.
Okay,
Let's do it.
okay, good. Let's go.
We got some hand raising over here in the
Okay,
comments.
good.
So
I got it.
yeah, gosh, my spiritual journey. I grew up non-denominational Christian. We went to non-denominational Christian churches.
Mm-hmm.
I got really turned off when I was evangelized, for lack of a better way. Like, it was just like, it felt like it was forced on me to
Yeah.
accept Jesus as my savior, and we're going to pray with you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, that's a personal thing. Like, I don't even
Yeah.
know you people.
Mm.
Go get out of my house. My mom was like, oh yeah, you were not having that. You were like, we're not going back to that church. Um, so, so I just sat in the adult part and listened to the music, you know. It's like, oh, the music,
Right.
so
Right.
good. And then I ended up going to Creighton University, which is a Jesuit university. A lot of
Wow.
people that go to Jesuit universities have been going to Catholic school or whatever, and so they know a lot about religion. And I was just like, my eyes were open. I was like, teach me all the things, you know. So I got to learn
Wow.
about different world religions and philosophy, and you know, those, I loved those classes, and humanity or sociology and anthropology classes. I loved learning about all that. And so that gave me a little taste there. And in high school, there was a humanities class my senior year that was, we read Siddhartha. So that introduced me to Buddhism. And, I was just like, oh, there's these things that I haven't been exposed to. So, moving on down the road, it was after my divorce, actually, a friend of mine introduced me to, I think she talked about Louise Hay. She was like Louise Hay's book.
Yeah.
She grew up Christian scientist.
Okay.
But then she introduced me to a church here in Denver called Mile High Church. And it's a Centers for Spiritual Living is what it is. And it's the only one that has church in the name. But really it's a Center for Spiritual Living, and they're all over the world. And I walked into this place and it was just like, oh my gosh, this is what I've been looking for. It is like, it encompasses everything. It's like, if you're Jewish, Buddhist, Native American, spiritual, like wherever you come from, you can come and be here, and you're welcome here. It doesn't matter your sexual orientation. It doesn't, nothing. It's like it's just this oneness.
Yes.
It's this feeling of oneness. And so that is from the religious science background, New Thought, Ancient Wisdom.
Yeah.
So speaking of, Ifa, so in my master's in consciousness studies class, we just got this African spirituality. It's African America's diasporic religious studies class.
Love it.
And I'm like over halfway through that. I have a few more weeks of that class. And it's just like, now I was like, the ancient wisdom, like we all came from Africa.
Yes.
Like I get, like I'd heard that before. Like I knew that, like I studied it somewhere in a history class, but like we all came from Africa. We all evolved out of Africa.
That's right.
And how it has spread, and it's just amazing that these spiritual traditions that were all oral and now have been written down are still going on.
Yes.
It's amazing. Long before Christianity and in Islam and Judaism.
Yep, absolutely.
And it's really getting to the connection with nature and connection with community. I mean, it's very much community based, and the changing of the seasons, and it's mathematical too.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, they're so in touch with their ancestors, and I mean, I could go on and on and on, but anyway, so that's where I'm at right now. I'm in a place of just studying, world religions, philosophy, psychology, all the different ways that we look at consciousness and what that means from different perspectives. So yeah, I'm just loving it. I'm just learning. I'm just continuing to learn. And an NLP is a huge piece of that, like mind, body, spirit. If we get our spirit and our mind in the right place, our physical body is going to follow.
Ashe.
Ashe.
I think that's why we connected, Dawn, because you're connected with nature and I'm connected with nature, and you realize that we're all connected. There's you don't see color, you don't see cultural background, you just see energy, and you see people for who they truly are. And I think that's why NLP is so powerful, in transforming the subconscious mind, because then you can get to the higher power, which is love. And there's nothing trumps love. That's the highest energy of all. And when we can take that as a vibration, that's why y'all need to be on our show, there you go. Love conquers all. Yes. Yeah. That's why y'all need to be on our chat on Saturday in another plug. But
I can't wait to be on your chat. Once I get
oh my God. You're so
now,
I love God. This is so awesome.
People
Oh,
just
wait.
look
So,
at me.
okay, last question.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yeah.
So, if I were being interviewed and you were the host, what would be a question that you would have asked that I haven't asked you yet?
If I was questioning myself,
Yeah,
is that the question?
if you were asking me a question.
This is a really great meta question, by the way, for NLP.
Is it?
You could do it. You can be an
Okay,
expert.
so as the host, me asking you this question, what would be a question that you would have asked, that you would have wanted me to ask you that I haven't asked you already?
Why are you doing this work? What is, and we don't ask a lot of why questions. What is the purpose? What is my purpose for doing this?
Yeah.
And it's interesting. Actually, in the Ifa and the tradition, the belief is that our purpose here is to leave the world a better place than where we found it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's like when I heard that, I was like, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Like I just want to leave the world a better place than where I found it. And what's interesting is at the end of 2016, when I was in another place of just surrender, and I was just asking, I was like, why am I here? Why am I here? What is my purpose here? And I received the message that I have already achieved my purpose.
Yeah, I was picking it up.
Oh, no worries. For the last 4 years, I've been in this place of I'm good. I'm satisfied with my life. I've already accomplished what I came here to accomplish. And so now I just get to have more fun with my life. I just get to keep doing more of what I've been doing. And that is a very different place to be from it. It's like, it's not that I want to die by any means. Like I'm enjoying this life that I get to have, and enjoying it to the fullest. However, if I died tomorrow, and this is a place I hope that everybody can get to earlier in their lives rather than later. If I died tomorrow, it's okay. Because the people in my life that need to know that I love them, they know that right now in this moment. The people in my life that I needed to forgive have been forgiven. The people in my life that I felt like we needed to have peace, it's there. I don't have any regrets. I don't have, it's good. Life is good. And so I just get to keep being more of me and doing whatever work I can. So if I can keep helping other people get to this place, wouldn't the world be wonderful?
That's
So that's
powerful.
my purpose, to get people here.
I love that. That's so powerful. It just reminds me of when I was I went to a Buddhist, I guess you can call it a church, but it was a Buddhist gathering. And that's one of the things that we would meditate on, is that all is well, no matter what, all is well. Like she was saying to someone on the plane, and the plane, it seemed like it was going to be crashing. And she tried to tell the girl next to her, everything's going to be okay. Even if we crash, everything's going to be okay.
I do know. It makes flying so much easier.
Right.
When I get on a plane, I'm like, this might be it. And I'm okay. And every time I get to check in, like every time I fly, which is not very much right now, but like every time I fly, it's like, it's such a great opportunity to check in and be like, are we good? Are we good with everybody?
Yes.
We're good.
Yes.
We're good. It's okay. If it's my time to go, it's okay. I can't say the same for the people that are going to be my survivors. They might not be okay with it.
Right.
But I know I'm going to be okay. And I'm excited for what's next.
Man, that is so powerful. Man, Dawn, this has been such impactful conversation. Oh my God. I don't want to take up any more time, but man, I knew that this was going to be, see, I laughed, I cried. I said that I was going to do that. I said I was going to laugh. We're going to cry. We're going to do all the above. And we did. And people were saying some really things. Giovanni was saying, yes. And I said, she's so powerful. They were laughing with us. They had their hands up. Yes, most definitely. So, man, you guys catch the replay on this. If you watched this far, you obviously were impacted by this interview. To get a hold of Dawn, let people know where they can get a hold of you if they want to reach out and work with you.
Yep. You can either go to my website, mobilelighthousellc.com, or you can email me at mobilelighthousellc@gmail.com. Yeah. Or just find me on Facebook under Dawn Bauer, or on Instagram at Dawn.Bauer. I'm all over.
You are.
Thanks for having me. This was so fun. I love talking about this stuff.
This is awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate your time and you taking the time to do this with me. And I'm just so grateful for you and your contribution, what you're doing. Keep it up. I can't wait to see more from you, especially from the comedy. What's going on with that? Tell me when we're going to be able to see another show.
Man. I don't even know. I like to do stuff in front of live audiences. So the stuff online, I'm with people online all the time. I want to be live, doing live stuff. A lot of the films I've been doing have been very dark films. And so I definitely would like to do some more comedy.
Yeah.
Man, I just wish we lived in the same town. So we would get into some trouble.
Hey, well, I'm gonna be coming up to Denver, so I got your information, so I'm gonna connect with you. I lived in Denver for a year.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
With the kids, we used to live there. I had Jonte, my first daughter, out there.
Oh, very cool.
And it was beautiful. It was like a really amazing time for me, conscious-wise, because there's so much weed out there and all this.
Opening my mind.
I was like, ooh. It's just a real chill vibration out there. It really is. It's just really open and inviting and non-judgmental, and people are just really cool. I really love Denver. It's a really great city. That's probably why it's so expensive to live there.
Yes, it is. Of course, if it had an ocean right next door, that would really.
I know. That would be worth it. That would be worth it. But you guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, make sure you follow us on Instagram and YouTube for World Changer Wednesday. We are going
says
to.
Not the weed. Hi, Addie. Addie won $10.
We real on the show. We don't fake. I don't know how many people are. Yeah, we won't even get into that, but. But I love you guys. I hope you guys have a fantastic evening. I will see you guys again for World Changer Wednesday next week. I have a phenomenal guest. I cannot wait to share it with you. But thank you again for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you.
We love you. So you guys, thank you for watching. Hey, Addie. Hey, Giovanni. Thank you guys so much for commenting. We love you guys so much. You guys for the support. All of you guys who've been supporting. It's amazing. Thank you guys for showing up and showing up for who you are so that you can help other people. Anyways, we love you guys. I'm over time. We'll see you guys next week. Take care.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.